Hey guys, I'm here for a very exciting video, and that's going to be talking about my favourite books of 2016. I read a total of 112 books and I'm so happy with that. Like, I never thought I'd be able to read that many books, and it's practically like one every 3 days is pretty good average for the year. But I'm very excited, and I'm very excited to talk about all the books that I really enjoyed. So I've made a list of 15 books that were my top favourites, and it was so hard to pick. I read so many good books this year, and it was just a great year of reading. Like, so many sequels were coming out, so many new books were happening, just so much where I was caught up with things, because me as a reader, I haven't read as many books as like most people. Like, I own a lot of books that I really want to read, but when you think about it, this is like my section of reading, and I am trying to catch up with like all the books that have been out for ages. But still, this year I did a good chunk of reading, got a lot done, and I'm just like so excited, and I can't wait to tell you all my books. And I will tell you guys, this list is in order, so I'm going from 15 to 1, and they're in the preference of like my absolute favorites and everything. So let's go. So number 15 on my list was The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. This book is so low on the list just because when I read the first book, the plot was just confusing me, and I was just very confused in this book. But what I love about this book is just how character driven it is. Like, I love all the characters in this book, and they make me want to keep reading, making me want to keep being a part of this world and just want to keep going. Like, after I read this book, I was just anxious to read the second one, and I finally read the second one last month because I caved, and I just was just like, I need to read this, so I did. But it was so good, and just Blue and Gansey and Adam and Rowan and Noah are just all great characters, and I just love them so much. Number 14 on my list is Three Dark Crowns by Abbeyleec. I didn't expect to love this book as much as I did. Like, when I read the premise of it having it 3 queens who are triplets have to fight each other to the death to become the queen of the whole kingdom, I thought I would end up hating all of them, or at least only liking one of them and hating the other 2. I'm rooting for my favourite, but I love them all. Like, probably Mirabella and Ara Snow are my favourites, but I still really do like Catherine. Like, she's just the one that wasn't my favourite, but I won't want any of them to die, and I want them to have, like, build these relationships and like rule all together. I want them to just be together and have a great life, and just everything in this book was awesome, and there's so many point of views, and it's just so good. Number 13 on my list is Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Alarisanze. I can never say this person's name, it's so hard. Benjamin, yo. I didn't expect to love this book as much as I did. It was such a beautifully written story, and it's just so good. Oh my god, I loved it so much, and it was such a quick read. Like, I didn't expect to read it so quickly. Like, I was just, reading, and then I was just like, oh, I'm finished. What happened? But like, it's actually written quite smallly. Like, the writing's quite small, so that's good. But I just love this so much, and just the growth and development of like someone as a teenager trying to figure out who they are and what they want to be in life, and just who they love. It's just, it was so good, and like, I understand why it's got all these stickers on it, because it was good. Number 12 on my list is The Shadow Queen by C.J. Redwin. I loved this book. Like, it had dragons in it. Dragons was not what I expected. Like, I was instantly drawn to this book when I first heard of it for this cover. Like, this beautiful, and then when I read it, it was like the best thing ever. And you can see this where? Can you see this? This is all cracked and crap because of just me reading it and doing stuff, and it's just got a lot going on with it that's wrong. But this book was so good, and actually there is like a sequel, which is more of a companion novel, coming out next year. Coming out in 2017, which is this year, but it's coming out, and it's about different characters in the same world, and it's called The Wish Granter, and I'm so down for this. But I really loved The Shadow Queen, and it was just so good. Just such a great novel, and just like a really good, powerful novel. And it was a Snow White retelling too, that drew me to it as well. So definitely just, oh my god, it was so good. Number 11 on my list is Lady Helen and the Dark Days Club by Alison Goodman. I will have to admit, as I was reading this, I did find this book boring, but the only aspect of that is there's so much describing about the clothes and what people were doing and etiquette and just the way you had to act around people, and it was kind of boring me a bit. But then I just got right into the plot. Everything was going on. The characters are so good. Like, Lady Helen is such a good character, and like Lord Castleton, I am like in love with him. I love him so much, and just the fact that there's demons and everything, and it's it's like a historical fiction with demons, and it's the best thing ever, and everyone should read this. And it's great, the second book only came out yesterday, and I was so annoyed that there was nowhere on websites or stores that I could get it, and I finally found it, so that's coming in the mail, and then I'll read it, and I'm just like, I'm so excited. But this book was so good, and it reminds me of Downton Abbey, but just the fact that the relationships between like Lady Helen and her maid, whose name has slipped me. Was it Sophia? No. I don't know, that is really bad, but everything about this book is great. It was just a tad boring that just annoyed me a little bit, but other than that, like, everyone needs to read this, even though this cover is kind of like really like weird looking. Read this book because it's got some good stuff in here. Number 10 on my list is Never Never by Brienne Sherman. This book is a retelling of Peter Pan from Captain Hook's perspective, and it just shows like sort of his descent into evil and madness. So it is like a villainous backstory, and I loved it. It was so good, and like so many references and characters are coming into this story. Like you saw Tiger Lily, you saw Smee, you saw the Crocodile, you saw Peter Pan, you saw the Lost Boys. Wendy was in it as well. Like Wendy and her two brothers were in this, and just everything was what I wanted. And even though the story went as it did in the actual like story, it was so good, and I just enjoyed this book so much. And like this cover really drew me in, the fact that it was like a Peter Pan thing. Like I haven't really read much of Peter Pan stories, but like I just love this so much, and like everyone should read it because it was so good. Number 9 on my list is Tell the Wind and Fire by Sarah Reese Brennan. This book was so good, and it did such a good job talking about the elements of the good versus evil battle that happens in so many stories, but just this was done so well, having a light and a dark city, and just the characters were so good, and it's a tale of two cities retelling that like I really enjoyed. Like oh my god, this book is precious, and I really loved it. And even though this is only a book I read in recent times, I still really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun reading it, and just everyone needs to read this book, to be honest. Number 8 on my list is Empire of Storms by Sarah J. Maas. I know probably a lot of people are probably thinking, why is it this book higher, or why is it more up in the list? But there were so many other books that I read that I really enjoyed, and Empire of Storms, like I enjoyed it, but it's just the ending left me so dead inside that I don't know, like I just needed to put some happier things on this list because this book ruined me. And it was a big book too that took quite a while to read, but I still really enjoyed it, and I'm very excited for the sequel. Like I've always, Throne of Glass has to be one of my favourite series, like it's always gonna be, but I just read a lot of more other books that I was really excited about, but I'm still happy. There's so much character development, so many couples are happening in this book, and just like it speaks to me, and I really enjoyed it. Number 7 on my list is The Distance Between Us by Casey West. This is a book that I read really early on in the year, and it was one of the first contemporaries I read because like I didn't like contemporaries up until probably like a year and a half ago. Like I just didn't want to read them, they didn't interest me, but this was one of the first ones that I really gave a proper go to, and I loved it. It just had such a good simplistic story of just love and friendship and just everything that I wanted in a book, and this has made me obsessed with Casey West. But I'm really sad to say I haven't read anything else of her since then, but I have to say she's one of my favourite authors, and I've owned like three, I don't know what I'm trying to do, but I own 3 more of her books that I really want to read, and I don't know when it's going to happen, but just this was just such an adorably cute story that I just think is going to stay with me forever. Number 6 on my list is the Lux series by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and I will say like the whole series, but I'm just holding up the first book. I've been wanting to read the series for the longest time since I read the White Hot Kiss trilogy, and I finally got this, and I finally read it, and it is actually the best thing ever, and it's just such an adorably dorky, fluffy alien story that is just so good. It keeps getting better and better and more complex, and just so many alien things are happening, and so many things happen that are unexpected to me, and Damon is the best thing ever. Oh my god. And I love the fact that Katie's like a book blogger, so it's like relatable to book people, you know, and that's what I love about this. Number 5 on my list is Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. I fell in love with this book. It was so good and so relatable to the fact that I feel like this in crowds, like how Kath feels. Like she feels social anxiety around people and doesn't want to do things, and like even though people like me can be confident talking to a camera, I don't have a crowd around me. I don't have anything going on, so you can seem confident when you're on things like the Instagram stories or the Snapchat or BookTube just making videos. But Kath, I just related so much to Kath and the fact that all she was going through, and I just loved Kath and Levi, and just I just loved this book so much, and it was the best thing I've ever read, to be honest. I loved it, and it just was such a great contemporary, and I really just, oh, I have so many feelings. Number 4 on my list is Heartless by Marissa Meyer. I told you guys I'd be putting this on my list because it was bloody awesome. Oh my god, this was such a great backstory into the Queen of Hearts, and just the fact that there were so many Wonderland references in this, like, and of course it's about Wonderland and the Queen of Hearts, but like, come on, it was so good. There were so many things that I was like understood and related to, and like Jest was the best thing that's ever happened to me, to be honest. Like, I love him so much, and just Catherine, I felt for her so much throughout this whole book, and just, oh, it was so good, and I'm just so happy that I have this book in my life because it was amazing. Number 3 on my list is The Problem with Forever by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This book was just the best thing. See, my absolute favourite contemporary read I read this year, I just couldn't, man. It was so beautifully, amazingly written. I just was so happy to finally read this. Like, I had only heard about this book when it was coming out, so I didn't really know much about it, and then I just got it because this cover is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my whole life. It has to be my absolute favourite cover of 2016 because it's just beautiful, but this story was just so good, and just Mallory and Ryder were such great characters, and I felt for them so much, and they just spoke to me, and I just can't. Like, it was just such a beautifully written novel, and I can't. It was so good. Number 2 on my list is The Kiss of Deception by Mary E. Pearson. I had been wanting to read this book for the longest time, and I finally got my hands on it at Christmas last year after the one that was only a week ago, but I finally got it and I read it and I absolutely loved it. But then I decided to buy it in hardcover with the second book, and I read it again, and just my love for this story just does not stop. I'm just saying, like, Rafe is my favourite character on the face of the earth. Every one of these I just keep saying they're my absolute favourite, but like they're all my absolute favourites. But like, and Leah as well, she's such a great character and I just can't. Oh my god, this book was just the beautifulest thing ever, and I can't wait to read The Beauty of Darkness. Like, I've been wanting to read it for like a month. I've had it for a month and I haven't had a chance to read it, and I need to, so I can add to my love of the world of this book, and I just can't. I love it so much. Now for book number 1, and I want to know if you guys can guess, because it's a book that I have not stopped talking about, probably mentioning in a lot of videos. I read the sequel of this series about 8 months ago, and I'm dying for when it comes out on May 4th. Or May 2nd, because the date's been like sort of changing around, and that is A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J Maas. I have to say, it makes me so happy that so many people have put this as their favourite book of the year, because like, what else could be your favourite book? Like, to be honest, it was so good. I loved this so much. I just can't believe what happened in this book, and everything just blew my mind, and I just... oh, it's one of the most beautifulest things I've ever read, and I'm so invested in this story and all the characters, and I still feel like it was only yesterday that I finished this book, and I was like a bleeding mess in my bed, being all like, what's happening in this book? Like, I've been waiting for so long for this next sequel, and it's only 4 more months that I have to wait, and I don't know if I can handle it. Like, I'll have the book in my hand and I'm gonna want to start reading it, and I'm just gonna be like, because I'm so terrified that everything bad is going to happen, and I just can't. But I am so excited. It's going to be so good. Oh my god. I just can't. This is my absolute favourite thing I've read in my whole entire existence, because it was so good. And oh my god. I have so many feelings. I'm sorry. Oh, I can't even do this. I'm trying to show you what I read, but it's very... oh, no, I'm losing it. Here we go. Here are all of my favourites. Oh my god, these are all the favourite reads that I read this year, and I'm losing everything. My arms hurt. Oh my god. But anyway guys, those are my favourite reads that I had in 2016. I loved all of them so much, and I just can't wait for 2017 to have another amazing reading year, because books is the only thing that can't go wrong in your life. Besides everything else in the world being crap, so many people are dying, so many wars going on, books are the only thing that will stay true to you. But anyway guys, thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!